I'm going to show you 7 different ways you can come up with great ideas for your content plan. I've used these methods to come up with ideas for videos, for blog posts, and for social media. Anybody can apply them. Use ChatGPT to find out problems your audience is having, and then to come up with solutions. This will give you dozens of ideas for pieces of content to create. As an example, I'm going to first identify solopreneurs as my ideal audience. The topic in question that I want to create content about is content marketing. I know, it's all very meta. And the task is for ChatGPT to come up with problem solution scenarios. Using this information, I came up with this lengthy prompt. I told ChatGPT it's an expert in addressing the needs of solopreneurs. I gave it a template to use, and I also specified what the outcome in question should look like. Now, I know this is quite a lengthy prompt, so I'm going to put it in the notes section below this video. You can use the prompts that I put in the notes section below this video, or you can use a tool like Prompt Perfect to generate your own based on your audience and also what you're trying to achieve. When I put this exact prompt into ChatGPT, it came up with over a dozen different problems that this potential audience is having, and also the outcomes that my content should talk about. As an example, a solopreneur could be struggling to create content because they don't have enough time. So I should create content that documents a creation process that they can manage in just 2 hours a week. Or perhaps they're having trouble identifying their brand in a crowded niche. Well, then I should create content that explains how to establish a distinct and authentic brand voice. Or perhaps they're not getting engagement on social media. Well, then I could create a series of content assets like videos or blog posts or perhaps posts on LinkedIn that explain how to increase engagement strategies. There's dozens of different ideas that I can pick through, and then I can use this to inform my content marketing plan. Google Trends is a great resource for coming up with content ideas. So consider the theme or topic that you want to address, plug it into Google Trends, select worldwide, and you'll be able to see related queries that people are searching for. Solopreneur business ideas immediately came up. So I could perhaps create an email series or a YouTube video or perhaps a blog post all about ideas for solopreneurs. I can also plug this term into Google and I can see what different sources across the web are saying about business ideas for solopreneurs. And immediately I can see that a lot of this content is out of date. So this is certainly something that I would commission. One question surveys are a great source of content ideas. You could ask subscribers to your email list one question when they sign up. Or you could contact people in your niche or industry. Let's return to the topic of solopreneurship. I could ask questions like, what is the biggest challenge you face as a solopreneur? Or, what specific resources or types of content inspires you to pursue solopreneurship? Or, what's the ideal outcome for your solopreneur business? Oh, and if you don't have any people you can contact on your email list or elsewhere, then ask ChatGPT to come up with some ideas based on these questions. Or head over to Quora, put in the topic in question, and browse through some of the questions and answers that are trending which relate to whatever you're creating content about. You'll easily find dozens of different ideas. Answer the Public is another good resource for coming up with content ideas. Unfortunately, it's not free, but you can use the basic version to at least come up with ideas and then decide if you want to pay a couple of dollars a month to get information about keyword search volume and so on. I plugged in solopreneurship and it gave me these different content ideas. Solopreneur versus an entrepreneur. Solo companies. The meaning of solopreneurship. I could go ahead and I could write articles or commission videos about any of these topics. Or I can browse further down to sort them all alphabetically, and if I want, I can pay to get access to information about search volume and cost per click. If you're more concerned with creating content for social media, try using advanced search on Twitter. Type in the topic in question that you're interested in. Then you may also want to put in some engagement filters so you're getting content that's proven viral. For example, I'm going to specify that Twitter is only going to show me content with a minimum of 25 replies, 25 likes, or 25 reposts. Now, if I click search, Twitter is going to show me, or X is going to show me, lots of high-performing content from Justin Welch, who's perhaps the best-known content creator about the topic of solopreneurship. So I could study his content formats and then figure out how I could create something using this format, but with my own voice. Exploding Topics is another great resource for coming up with content ideas. Now, it's not free. In fact, it's one of the more expensive resources I mentioned in this video. But if you're in a research or ideation phase, it's potentially worth it. As an example, you can see here that prompt engineering is exploding in Google search and elsewhere. And Exploding Topics provides me with some information about the volume, growth, categories, and also related topics that I could potentially research. This could help me build out a plan all about prompt engineering. You don't need to pay for fancy tools or software to come up with content ideas. Create an idea bank of stories for your work. You're going to build a library on your computer of 5 or 10 stories that you'll draw from over and over. You're going to use these stories in your content, in your articles, in your videos and your emails to illustrate points or principles that you're creating content about. As an example, one story I like to use is when I trained for my first marathon a couple of years ago. It was around the time I started my business. Sometimes I'll write about training for my first marathon when I want to illustrate the point of perseverance. In other words, sometimes when things are tough, you gotta keep going anyway because the finish line could be in sight. Here's the great thing about personal stories. They work really well on social media. People these days, your ideal reader or consumer, prefer connecting with other people rather than big corporate brands. But not only that, you can tell and respin the same story in different ways for different formats and for different channels. You only need 5 or 10 stories to draw from. And using personal stories in your work is key if you want to write what AI can't. Hat tip to Justin Welch, an AI solopreneur who inspired this particular prompt. Basically, you're going to ask ChatGPT to come up with a content table or matrix that you can use. You're going to get specific about what's on the X and Y axis. And you're also going to get specific about the output for each of the cells on the table in question, and also describe the benefit. You can of course swap out marketing agency and insert the type of business that you're running, swap out solopreneur and insert your target audience, and swap out LinkedIn and put in your ideal outcome for this content matrix. Or you can use Prompt Perfect to re-engineer this prompt based on whatever it is that you're working on. When I plugged this into ChatGPT, it produced a table with dozens of different ideas. I can easily use this to build out my content plan for weeks or months. It references the content formats, for example, case studies, how-to guides, tips and tricks, and so on. And it also references the content type. So am I writing motivational content for social media, or am I writing educational content like this video here? There's more ideas here than I would ever have time to execute on, but it really does save time ideating content. I hope you enjoyed this resource. If you did, elsewhere on the channel, I have extensive videos about how to build your first content marketing plan and how to measure your results. So go check those out. Oh, and if you do have questions about coming up with better content ideas, ask me in the comments section below this video.